They found her standing over the mirror at dawn, her reflection smiling while her face stayed still. The elders whispered one word, cursed. In the village of Iwoma, where the river runs black under moonlight and the old women still speak to trees, there lived a girl named Chioma. She was plain. Not ugly, not beautiful. Just plain. The kind of girl who disappeared in crowds, whose name people forgot moments after learning it. She carried water, swept floors, tended to her grandmother Eneni, and lived quietly in the shadow of girls who turned heads when they walked. But Chioma never minded. She had Eneni. Her grandmother, ancient as the baobab trees, with eyes that saw through lies and hands that could pull fever from a child's forehead. Eneni told stories. Stories of spirits who walked as men, of women who became rivers, of bargains made in darkness that always came with a price. On the night Eneni died, there was no warning. No sickness. No struggle. The old woman simply called Chioma to her mat, pressed something cold into her palm, and whispered, "Beauty is a knife, child. It cuts both ways. Never forget which hand holds the handle." Then she closed her eyes and left this world. Chioma didn't understand. She opened her palm to find a small carved mirror, no bigger than her thumb, its surface dark like obsidian. It was warm. Alive, almost. She slipped it into the pouch around her neck and wept through the night. The funeral was simple. The village came, said the words, poured the libations. By the third day, Chioma was alone in Eneni's hut, surrounded by the silence her grandmother left behind. That's when it started. She woke on the fourth morning and walked to the clay pot filled with water to wash her face. The surface showed her reflection. But something was different. Her eyes looked brighter. Her skin smoother. She blinked and looked again. No, it was just the morning light playing tricks. But at the market that afternoon, 3 men turned to watch her pass. Men who had never looked at her before. One dropped the yam he was holding. Another stared so long his wife slapped his arm. Chioma hurried home, her heart pounding with confusion. By the 7th day, she couldn't deny it anymore. Her face had changed. Her cheekbones sat higher. Her lips fuller. Her skin glowed like wet clay in sunlight. Her body moved differently, curved where it had been straight. She looked into the water pot again, and this time she gasped. She was beautiful. Not just pretty. Devastatingly, impossibly beautiful. The kind of beauty that made people stop breathing. Do you think beauty like this comes without a price? The village noticed. Of course they noticed. Women who had ignored her now watched with narrow eyes. Men who had treated her like furniture now stumbled over themselves to greet her. Mothers pulled their sons closer when she walked by, as if beauty were contagious. And then the suitors came. First was Obi, the hunter with arms thick as tree trunks. He arrived with a bush pig over his shoulder, kneeling in the dust outside her door. "Marry me, Chioma. I will fill your home with meat. You'll never know hunger." She sent him away gently. Then came Udoka, son of the wealthiest farmer, draped in fine cloth, his servants carrying baskets of yams and palm wine. "Be my wife. I will build you a house with 4 rooms. You will live like a queen." She refused him too. Then Chidi. Then Ikena. Then men whose names she didn't know, from villages she'd never heard of, all bringing gifts, all promising the world, all staring at her face like it was the first sunrise they'd ever seen. Chioma felt something cold crawling up her spine. This wasn't right. This wasn't her. She touched the small mirror around her neck. It pulsed with warmth. The women of the village began to talk. Not to her. About her. "It's not natural," said Adana, the weaver, as she sat outside her hut. "A girl doesn't become beautiful overnight. Not unless something dark is involved." "Her grandmother was strange," added Alana, grinding pepper with angry hands. "Always talking to herself. Always watching. Who knows what she passed to the girl before she died?" "It's a curse," said Mama Ngozi, the oldest woman left in the village. "Beauty like that? It's a trap. For her or for us, I don't know yet. But mark my words, blood will follow." The whispers became shouts. The stares became glares. Chioma felt the shift like a storm rolling in. The same people who smiled at her now spat when she passed. Mothers yanked their children indoors. Someone painted a mark on her door in the night, the symbol used to warn of evil. She was alone. More alone than when Nne had been alive. One evening, a young man named Kalechi came to her door. He was different from the others. Quiet. Thoughtful. He didn't bring gifts or make promises. "I knew you before," he said simply. "When you were plain. You were kind then. Are you still kind now?" Chioma felt something crack open in her chest. "I don't know what's happening to me," she whispered. "I didn't ask for this." Kalechi nodded. "I believe you. But the village doesn't. They're planning something. I heard the elders talking. They think you've brought a curse. They want you gone." That night, Chioma couldn't sleep. She held the small mirror Nne had given her, turning it over in her hands. In the darkness, she thought she heard her grandmother's voice. "Look closer, child." She lifted the mirror. Her reflection stared back, but the eyes were not her own. They were older, hungrier, and they were smiling. Chioma dropped the mirror with a gasp. What had Nne done? The next morning, the village chief summoned her. The entire village gathered in the square, a sea of suspicious faces. Chiefis sat on his stool, his expression carved from stone. "Chioma, daughter of Nne," he began, his voice heavy. "Strange things have happened since your grandmother passed. Your face has changed. Men have gone mad with want. Wives weep. Mothers fear. The balance is broken." "I didn't do anything," Chioma said, her voice shaking. "Intention doesn't matter," the chief replied. "Effect does. The elders have decided. You will go to the shrine of the river spirit. The priestess will determine if you carry a curse. If you are clean, you may return. If not..." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. The river shrine sat 3 hours' walk into the forest, where the trees grew so thick the sun never touched the ground. Chioma walked alone. No one offered to accompany her. Not even Kalechi, though his eyes followed her until she disappeared into the shadows. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. No birds. No insects. Just the sound of her feet on the damp earth and her heart hammering in her chest. She reached the shrine as the sun began to set. It was a small clearing beside the river, the water black and still as glass. In the center stood a stone altar stained dark with old sacrifices. And beside it, the priestess. She was ancient, older even than Nne had been, her body bent like a question mark, her eyes white with blindness. But when she turned toward Chioma, those eyes saw everything. "Ah," the priestess said, her voice like dry leaves. "The beautiful one. Come closer, child. Let me see what you carry." Chioma stepped forward, trembling. The priestess reached out a gnarled hand and touched Chioma's face. Her fingers were cold. She traced the cheekbones, the lips, the smooth skin. Then she laughed. It was not a kind sound. "Oh, Nne," the priestess whispered to the air. "You clever, foolish woman. You've done it again." "What do you mean?" Chioma asked. "What did my grandmother do to me?" The priestess withdrew her hand. "Sit, child. It's time you learned the truth." Chioma sat on the damp ground, her whole body shaking. "Your grandmother was beautiful once," the priestess began. "More beautiful than you are now. Men killed each other for her hand. Women poisoned wells out of jealousy. She was courted by chiefs, by warriors, by spirits themselves. And it destroyed her life." Chioma's breath caught. She made a bargain. With the mirror spirit. A creature old as grief, who lives in reflections and feeds on vanity. She gave her beauty to the spirit in exchange for peace. And she lived the rest of her life plain and invisible and finally happy. "But why give it to me?" Chioma whispered. "Because she thought she was saving you," the priestess said. "You were plain, yes. Overlooked. And Nne knew what that felt like after losing everything to beauty. She thought if she gave you beauty, you would have choices. Opportunities. She didn't realize the spirit's bargain had grown hungry over the years. That it wanted more than beauty now. What does it want?" The priestess turned her blind eyes to the river. "Souls. It feeds on the desire beauty creates. Every man who wants you, every woman who hates you, every moment of longing and envy and rage, the spirit consumes it. And it grows stronger. And hungrier. Until what? Until it takes you completely. You'll become the reflection, child. And the reflection will become you. You'll be trapped in the mirror, and the spirit will walk the world wearing your face, spreading its hunger wherever it goes." Chioma felt the ground tilt beneath her. "How do I stop it?" The priestess smiled sadly. "You can't. Once the bargain is made, it's sealed. Unless what? Please. Unless you give the beauty away. Willingly. To someone who wants it more than life itself. The spirit can only take what isn't freely given. If you surrender it, the bargain breaks." Chioma's mind raced. "Then I'll give it away. I'll give it to anyone. I don't want this." "It's not that simple," the priestess said. "The person must truly desire it. Must be willing to accept the curse knowingly. And how many people do you think would choose beauty if they knew the price?" Chioma stood, her legs weak. "There has to be a way." The priestess said nothing. The river made no sound. Chioma walked back to the village as night fell, her mind churning. By the time she reached the edge of the forest, the moon was high. She could see the fires of the village in the distance. And she could see the crowd waiting for her. They stood at the village entrance, dozens of them, holding torches. At the front was Mom Ngozi, her face hard as stone. The priestess sent word. Mom Ngozi called out, "You carry a curse. You cannot return." "Please," Chioma said. "I'm trying to fix it. I just need time." "Time for what? For the curse to spread? For more men to abandon their families? For more chaos?" Mom Ngozi stepped forward. "You have until dawn to leave. If you're still here when the sun rises, we will drive you out ourselves." The crowd murmured agreement. Chioma saw faces she'd known her whole life, now twisted with fear and anger. She turned and walked away, into the darkness beyond the village, her eyes burning with tears. She found shelter in an abandoned hut a mile into the grasslands. It was falling apart, the roof half collapsed, but it kept the wind out. She sat on the dirt floor and pulled out the small mirror. In the surface, her reflection smiled at her. Even though Chioma's face was wet with tears, the reflection smiled. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. The reflection's lips moved, but the voice came from behind her. "Everything." Chioma spun around. Standing in the doorway was a woman. Tall. Flawless. Her skin seemed to glow with its own light. Her eyes were black from edge to edge, like the mirror itself. "I am what your beauty will become," the woman said. "I am the hunger. The want. The need that never fills. Your grandmother trapped me for 50 years in her plain face, starving me. But now I'm awake. And you, sweet Chioma, you are feeding me so well." "I'll find a way to stop you," Chioma said, trying to sound brave. The spirit laughed. "You can't. Every day you grow more beautiful. Every day more people desire or despise you. Every emotion feeds me. In 3 days, when the moon is dark, I will step out of the mirror and you will step in. And I will finally walk free in a world that worships beauty." The spirit vanished like smoke. Chioma sat in the darkness, her heart pounding. 3 days. She thought of Eneni's last words. Beauty is a knife. It cuts both ways. Never forget which hand holds the handle. Which hand holds the handle? An idea began to form. Dangerous. Possibly insane. But it was all she had. The next morning, she walked back to the village. People scattered at her approach like she carried plague. She went straight to the chief's compound. "I will leave," she called out. "But I ask one thing. Gather the village tonight. I have something to say." The chief, standing at his door, frowned. "Why should we listen to anything you say?" "Because I'm going to break the curse," Chioma said. "And you're all going to watch." That night, the entire village gathered in the square. They kept their distance, forming a wide circle around Chioma. Torches burned. Children peeked from behind their mothers' skirts. The air hummed with tension. Chioma stood in the center, holding the small mirror. "My grandmother gave me this," she began, her voice steady. "I thought it was a gift. It was a curse. A spirit lives in this mirror, a creature that feeds on beauty and desire. It's been growing stronger every day, feeding on your want, your envy, your fear. In 2 days, it will consume me completely. Unless I give this beauty away." The crowd murmured. "I need someone who wants it," Chioma continued. "Someone willing to take this face, this body, knowing the price. Knowing the spirit will come for them next." Is there anyone here who wants beauty that badly? Silence. Chioma's heart sank. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice spoke. I do. Everyone turned. A girl stepped forward. She was young, maybe 15. Her face was scarred badly, burn marks covering half her skin, twisting her mouth, sealing one eye shut. Chioma recognized her. Amara. She'd been burned as a child when a cooking fire spread. Amara, no, her mother cried, reaching for her. But Amara pulled away, walking into the circle. I want it, she said to Chioma. I know what it's like to have people look away. To be invisible. Worse than invisible. I'll take the beauty. I'll take the curse. At least I'll have 3 days of being seen. Chioma's throat tightened. You don't understand. The spirit will trap you. You'll lose yourself. I already am lost, Amara said quietly. At least this way, my family will remember me as beautiful. Do you see the cruelty of it? The way pain makes people bargain with darkness? Chioma looked at this girl, this brave, broken girl, and understood. Amara wasn't trying to be beautiful. She was trying to be remembered as human. And that's when Chioma realized. The spirit had been feeding on the wrong thing. No, Chioma said. You won't take it. Because I'm not giving beauty away. I'm giving the mirror away. She held up the small obsidian mirror. The spirit said it feeds on desire. On the emotions beauty creates. But desire is just a reflection. It's not real. It's not solid. You can't hold it. You can't keep it. It's just a mirror showing you what you think you want. She turned to the crowd. How many of you actually see me? How many of you know what I like, what I fear, what I dream? You don't. You see this face and you create a story. The men want to own it. The women want to destroy it. But none of you see me. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. The spirit has no power over what's real, Chioma said. Only over what's reflected. So I'm going to stop looking. She held the mirror high and brought it down on the stone altar in the center of the square. It shattered. The sound was like a scream. Black smoke poured from the broken pieces, forming into the shape of the woman's spirit, her face twisted with rage. Foolish girl, the spirit shrieked. The bargain is sealed. You cannot break it. I'm not breaking it, Chioma said. I'm finishing it. You want beauty? Take it. All of it. Take every beautiful thing in this village. Chioma closed her eyes and thought of Eneni. Not Eneni young and beautiful, but Eneni old and plain, with laugh lines and crooked teeth and hands scarred from work. Eneni, who was loved. Beauty isn't in faces, Chioma said. It's in moments. In kindness. In stories told by firelight. In water carried for a sick neighbor. In forgiveness. You can't eat that. You can't trap it. Because it's not about being seen. It's about seeing others. The spirit screamed again, but the sound was weakening. Chioma opened her eyes and felt it. Her face shifting. The smoothness fading. The glow dimming. She was becoming plain again. Ordinary. Invisible. And she had never felt more free. The spirit began to dissolve, the black smoke thinning, scattering on the wind. Its voice faded to a whisper. You were supposed to want it. Everyone wants it. I want to be real, Chioma said. Not perfect. The spirit vanished. The square fell silent. Chioma stood there, plain-faced Chioma again, unremarkable and alive. The villagers stared, unsure what to do. Then Amara stepped forward. She reached out and took Chioma's hand. "Thank you," Amara said, "for seeing me. Not my scars. Me." Chioma squeezed her hand. "Thank you for being brave enough to offer." One by one, people began to approach. Not to stare. Not to desire. But to speak. To ask how she was. To offer food. To welcome her back. Kelechi was among them. "I told you," he said with a small smile. "I wanted to know if you were still kind." "You are." Chioma looked around at the faces, really looked, and saw them not as a crowd but as people. Flawed, frightened, complicated people. Just like her. That night, she slept in Eneni's hut, the one she'd grown up in. She dreamed her grandmother sat beside her, young and beautiful and then old and plain, flickering between the two. "You learned the lesson, child," Eneni said in the dream. "Beauty is a knife. But you chose which hand holds the handle. You chose to put it down." When Chioma woke, sun was streaming through the gaps in the roof. She felt light. Whole. The mirror was gone. The curse was broken. And she was just Chioma again. Just Chioma was enough. In the months that followed, the village returned to normal. Chioma lived quietly. She helped Amara's family with their farm. She told Eneni's stories to the children. She smiled at Kelechi when he visited, and sometimes they walked by the river together, talking about small things that mattered. People forgot she had been beautiful. Or maybe they remembered, but it didn't matter anymore. One evening, an old woman from a distant village came seeking Chioma. She carried a small bundle wrapped in cloth. "I heard you broke a mirror curse," the woman said. "I have a daughter. She's been given something by her grandmother. A bracelet. It makes her irresistible. Men follow her everywhere. She can't sleep. She can't eat. She's wasting away. Can you help?" Chioma looked at the woman's desperate eyes. She thought of Eneni. Of the spirit. Of the reflection that wasn't real. "Yes," she said. "I can help." Because she had learned the truth. That beauty, power, desire, they're all just mirrors. They show you what you think you want. But they can't show you who you are. Only you can choose that. Only you hold the handle. If you know someone chasing something they think will complete them, share this story. Sometimes the most dangerous curses are the ones we pray for. Watch the next tale, where a boy is given the gift of a voice that compels anyone to obey, and learns that power over others is just another kind of prison.